And we are back with the fifth and the final segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this final segment, we are going to be looking at the NBA contracts that were recently signed for. Let me just go ahead and just make sure. Like, there was. I'm just going to go ahead and pull up this list, but there were, like, I want to say about five different players that ended up signing big contracts. Maybe at least three. So, like, I'm just going to go ahead and go over those players right here. Now let's go ahead. So the first big contract that I remember seeing, Sengun ended up signing a 5-year 185 million rookie scale extension for the Houston Rockets, according to NBA insider Bobby Marks of ESPN. Now, the deal also includes a player option for a fifth year and locks up one of the league's most intriguing young centers in Sengun. And he was only 22, and he just had his breakout season in 2023-2024, and he put up 21 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists, along with 1.2 steals while shooting 54%. He was a finalist for Most Improved Player until he ended up getting injured. And he's a big man who can do a little bit of everything, whether it's scoring in the paint, facilitating the offense, or even locking down opponents on defense. And there was obviously some question on whether or not the Rockets could move on from him or wait, or consider that they had held on to some cap flexibility for 2025, with Sengun's cap holding at 16.3 million. Delaying a new deal would have given them more room to sort of maneuver. Now, Sengun made it clear that he wanted to get a deal done, and Houston wasn't going to risk letting their rising star's price tag increase any further with another big season that's expected to be on the horizon. Now, along with Sengun, Jalen Green ended up signing a 3-year, $105 million extension. The Rockets are showing that they're committed to building around their young core, and it also suggests that Houston's front office isn't concerned about playing under the cap next summer. So instead, they're focused on developing the roster built to grow together, with Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, and Reed Shepherd all under contract through at least 2027. And in the span of 24 hours, Sengun became the latest NBA player to secure a rookie scale extension, along with other players like Jalen Johnson and Jalen Suggs. So more on those players in a little bit later. Corey Crispet agreed to a 4-year, $54 million contract extension with the Wizards. And let's see, the Washington announced the move without not on specifics in a press release as well. So Corey is someone who positively impacts their environment daily. He consistently shows up for the organization as both a player and a teammate, embodying the passion and professionalism they value. And he said in a statement that we are, the GM said in a statement that we are, let me just go ahead and look at it. We are excited that he has the opportunity to continue his growth and development in Washington. He's a relentless worker who has added to his game each season. We look forward to his further evolution in the coming years. Now, again, as I said, I was going to mention Jalen Johnson and Jalen Suggs. So the Magic, they extended Jalen Suggs to a 5-year, $150.5 million contract. And this deal was negotiated after holding a series of meetings in Orlando to finalize terms ahead of Monday's 6 p.m. Extension deadline. Now, Orlando announced the extension on Monday afternoon, but did not disclose their terms. So Suggs had his breakout season in his third year, helping Orlando rank third in defensive efficiency last season, and he became just the third Magic player to make an NBA All-Defensive team, joining Dwight Howard and Horace Grant. And he's also improving on his three-point shooting nearly 40% from three, on average of 5 attempts, along with 12 points and 1 steal in 27 minutes. Now, another player that I mentioned before, Jalen Johnson, he also agreed to a $150 million contract extension with the Atlanta Hawks. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. How are these role players getting so much money? And I don't know. That's all I really have. Like, I don't really know why all these role players are getting all of these massive paychecks. I think this is just a crazy conspiracy. Not really this is my conspiracies. This is my thought process and why I think all of these players are getting as much money as they are. All of these role players. Now, I think this is secretly to mess with the Boston Celtics. Now, what do I mean by that? You notice how every single team that has signed these big role players, they're in the Eastern Conference, right? Aside from Sengun, who I genuinely think deserves that contract, the rest of these players are a little bit questionable on whether or not I think they should be making that much money, right? Now, the reason why I think that teams are signing them to this much, aside from the fact that they are expecting a lot of potential coming out of these players, is that the Celtics are going to be well above the second apron. So they're going to have to pay a lot of luxury tax for that. Not to mention the rest of the players on their roster. If they want to keep players like Derek White, if they want to keep Drew Holiday, if they want to keep Kristaps, all of those players are going to want to have more money. And they're going to want to be making way more than somebody like Jalen Johnson or Jalen Suggs. I can guarantee you that Derek White isn't going to stand for getting paid the same amount of money as Jalen Johnson, because I would imagine that he feels like he's more valuable and he's better than Jalen Johnson. Same with Drew Holiday, same with Kristaps Porzingis, meaning that the Boston Celtics are going to have to pay a boatload of cash if they want them to stay. And that would mean that they'd have to force themselves to playing under the second apron rules, which is something that a lot of executives and owners of franchises don't want to do. So the big problem and the big, how do I say this? The expectation is that they have to make a choice. The Celtics would have to make a choice on either getting rid of the lineup and rebuilding again, like with different players, or possibly forcing their hands and re-signing all of those players again, which is a very, very difficult decision to make. And I feel like these contracts only put the pressure on them all that much more. And that's just a theory that I have. That's just a random theory that I have with why these players are making this much money. But that's all that I really have to say because we are running out of time. Thank you so much for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so remember to subscribe to the show, leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. And as usual, please remember to use the link displayed below the ticker on every show segment, gsmcpodcast.net, or you could always use Super Chat. Either or helps, and either or it's guaranteed to have your comment featured on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.